Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Flatout Racing Network's coverage here this evening of Monday Night Racing's playoffs. We are here tonight at the Lady in Black Darlington Raceway for the Behind the Wall Media 200, presented by Petrol Head Apparel, as we're getting set for 75 laps of action. This is playoff race number 5, the first race of the third round. 7 drivers enter, 4 drivers move on to the final 4. The first step takes place here tonight under the lights. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman. And Michael, we've been told that the trucks are very durable, but they're going to have to be coming here tonight, a track that's been monikered Too Tough to Tame.
Absolutely. You're going to carry a lot of speed into these corners here, but it's all about trying to maintain your car to not hit the outside wall. I don't think a lot of these drivers want that Darlington stripe, but more than likely, as statistics show, probably a good 90% of these drivers will walk away after tonight with a Darlington stripe.
Question is, though, who is going to be the one to cross the start-finish line first? Because we've seen here in the playoff drivers be able to go to victory lane, locking themselves into the next round. But here this evening, for the 7 drivers, and we'll get to them in a moment, but for 7 drivers, if they take a checkered flag here tonight, they go into next week's race knowing they're already going to battle for the championship in the finale at Indianapolis.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be the key. A lot of these drivers win and you're in. You want to get that blanket, that cushion, that you know that if you can get a win here, that the next couple of races or even that final race, you can just get that monkey off your back. So you just go into that, you can play any strategy you want, just trying to get up there, try to get the victory.
One of those 7 drivers that's trying to move on to Indianapolis is your pole sitter here tonight. That is DJ Cummings. He's going to line up alongside of the 23 of Ryan Vargas, who we saw take a checkered flag last week at Texas Motor Speedway in the Radicals. Behind them, you've got another playoff contender in Nick DeGroot, who, of course, won back-to-back races at the Daytona Road Course and at Eldora, trying to see if he can solidify a spot into the Final 4 alongside of Kyle McFadden. The other drivers that are in the Final 7 trying to advance into the Final 4 include Michael Rossi, Chris Wilner, who barely made his way in last week, Justin Malello, Stephen Ellis, and Ron Capps also barely made it in last week at Texas by 1 point to advance into this third and final round heading towards Indianapolis.
Yeah, and just 1 point is all it takes. You know, even the tiebreaker, not sure what the tiebreakers would be, but, 1 point, 1 position is all it takes to move on or be eliminated.
And let's not forget as well that all 7 drivers come into this race completely tied up in the standings. Regardless of whether a playoff contender had a victory in the last round, they don't carry any bonus points here into this round. So it's going to come down to who accumulates the most points at the conclusion of tonight's race and next week's race at Nashville Fairgrounds, which we'll be getting to that in just a moment. But here this evening, Michael, 75 laps of racing, 3 faster pairs at their disposal, unlimited tires, and 3 green-white checkers. But you said you expect to see this go into some pretty long green flag runs.
I mean, yeah, these cars are smart. It's very difficult to get a pass done, especially once these tires get up to temp. The outside lane is going to probably be the preferred lane right up next to that wall, because that's where you can get most of the runs at. But in order to really pass, you're going to have to carry a lot of momentum.
Well, the third round of the playoffs begins here tonight at Darlington as DJ Cummings gets a tremendous start. Going to pull away by at least 2.5 car lengths over the battle now for second.
I also wanted to point this out, too. This track is not your typical style. For those of you who don't know much about Darlington, turns 3 and 4 are tight, or a little more tight-knit than 1 and 2 is, and that's because of I believe it's a pond just on the outside, and the owner said that he did not want that pond touched when they built this racetrack initially. So
pond, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was a minnow pond. You're right.
Led to the egg shape of the Darlington Raceway, which it throws drivers off as well. I've talked to so many. We had an incident here. Noah Lewis in the 98 has gone around the back straightaway. No caution thrown yet for the AC Delco Silverado. Made some pretty extensive contact, I think, with that inside wall. Darlington Raceway actually had 2 pit roads back in the day on the front and back straightaway. They only use the front straightaway pit road segment now, but because of that, there's an inside wall on the backstretch, and I'm pretty sure that Noah Lewis got a big hit into it.
Yeah, I'm looking back at the accident now. He just got too high off of turn 2, hit the wall and and overcorrected it down to the inside of the racetrack. And going to what you said about the pit wall, there's like 2 pit lanes here. That's because way back in the day at Darlington, the back stretch used to be the front straightaway.
Watching here, the battle for the 7th position. Devin Henry trying to hold off Joshua Slate. Slate as well as, I remember who the other driver is here. Oh, Steve Font in the 20 car. Both of them work for tonight's sponsor, the Behind the Wall Media 200, and you can see that both of them are sponsored here this evening by Behind the Wall Media, so it'd be pretty cool if they'd be able to go to victory lane as add a driver to the list of Darlington Stripes. Ford Martin in the 07 who just got up into the wall there through 1 and 2.
Like I said, it's going to be probably about 90% of the field that's going to come away with the Darlington Stripe tonight, even if they get their truck quick repaired.
And
looks like somebody else just did it too.
Yeah, I think that might have been Devin Henry there in the 86. Yes, it was. And that's going to open the door for Joshua Slate to move to the inside and move to 6th. And now getting freight train on that outside line is Devin Henry. We got some smoke down here in turn 2. I think somebody else has had a bit of an incident here as Henry again gets the wall, that time off turn 2 onto the back straightaway.
86 car running the apron. I think he's just doing, or 98, sorry. He's just running the apron. I think trying to stay out of everybody's way there.
Might have been Noah Lewis that might have caused that smoke down there in turn 2. Not sure. It was down near the inside of the track. Or maybe the 21. Yeah, you're right. Jerry Jordan seems to be off the pace.
Absolutely.
No caution yet, as most of the incidents we've seen, nobody else has gotten involved in. It's been the solo truck incidents, but Jerry Jordan looks like he may be trying to bring that car to pit road. Either that or he's just running the apron trying to stay out of the way. As battle for the lead is on. DJ Cummings looks in his rearview mirror, has a rear deck lid full of the 23 of Ryan Vargas.
That's right. This battle for the lead is really good here. You've got to time your passes just right going off into these corners and try to carry the momentum. We've seen it in time and time again in real life. You've got to get down to beneath them with enough run that you can hold it, because the outside lane gets the good run off the corner.
Better remember, the reason that they're racing so hard right now for the lead is we will have a competition caution coming out at the completion of lap 20, which is going to be a huge break for drivers like Noah Lewis and Jerry Jordan, who have found some early issues here this evening at Darlington Raceway. It'll give them a chance to come down pit road, use one of those faster pairs.
Third place just hit the wall. That's Nick DeGroot.
89 truck. Last night we saw up in the air at Daytona in a special event race, but right now in that 3rd position, holding it for the moment. I have to also mention something here as well. I was corrected last week, and actually noticed this last week as well. These drivers, when a caution comes out, iRacing determines how long the caution is. I said that the cautions may be extended to be able to put drivers in the lead lap. What the ruling actually is iRacing determines how many caution laps there are during a caution period. Drivers that are a lap down can try to go around and get as many laps as possible back during that caution period. So the laps are not added back manually, and the admins do not determine the time of caution. That's why we were able to see Ron Capps last week be able to gain so many laps back, because he was able to go around the field under pacing based off the number of laps iRacing gave them under caution at Texas. As this battle for the lead starting to go away just the least little bit, and the best battling right now continues to be just inside of the top 10. Steve Font trying to get the inside of the 86 of Devin Henry, who's I think on a first name acquaintance now with the outside wall at Darlington.
Yeah. You've got to get back into your momentum. You hit the wall once, you've got to regroup, stay focused, try not to hit it again. So you've just got to be patient.
You can see that Devin Henry, he's only fallen back to the 11th position. Like said, the trucks are very durable. They can take a couple of shots into that outside wall and still continue on fine. And you can see Devin Henry, despite the right side of his machine looking like it's been through a meat grinder, he's still being able to be competitive, moving by Steve Font to move back into the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Durable enough, as to say the least. You see you've got a little bit of damage. I don't think it really slows him down. Aerodynamics may come into a bit of play here, considering that some of this track is almost, and again stress, almost wide open.
Right now, you've got, I believe, 4 of our playoff contenders up inside of the top 10. We're looking at 6th place Justin Malello, the 30-year-old out of Port Jefferson Station, New York. Malello trying to catch up to Joshua Slate, who's taken a checkered flag this season. The Cup cars back at Daytona International Speedway. Nick DeGroot right now is in the 3rd position, though he's got a challenge from Kyle McFadden in the 39. Again, these drivers all chasing that caution flag, the top competition caution, at the conclusion of lap 20. Right now, of the 21 drivers that took the green to start this race, 19 of them are on the lead lap. Noah Lewis is 1 lap down. Jerry Jordan is 2 laps down. But I am starting to see that DJ Cummings may start reeling in a couple of these drivers on the tail end of the lead lap momentarily. I believe that Drew Welker's only about maybe 3.5, 4 seconds
Caution.
ahead. Oh, caution is out, and it's for the 86 of Devin Henry. Has hit something a ton because he is smoking, and there's another car up ahead as well that I think got a piece of it. Jason Keffer in the 33, I believe.
Was just told this will be the competition caution.
Right around lap 20, so makes sense that this would be the competition yellow flag, about 4 laps shy of when the competition caution was originally supposed to come out. And let's go back and see what happened here to Devin Henry. And I think it's safe to assume he probably got up into the wall again because he's been up in the wall numerous times here in the first 15 laps. It's like he was battling at the time with, I think, the 26 of Chris Wilner. That would have been for around the 8th position, and he just carries so much speed there off the corner, hits the wall down the inside wall. Somebody else hit the wall up ahead of him as well. It's hard to tell who that was.
I'm not entirely sure. It looked like he just might have hit the wall and just spun it.
And there's something about Darlington, too, that it will look like you're hitting the wall square, but it just shoots the cars down to the inside. Oh, the other car that got involved in an incident, we were just looking at it moments ago, the 53 of Justin Malello. He was trying to make a pass on Joshua Slate, had Michael Rossi behind him, and it looks like Malello tried to move up, and there wasn't enough room, and he goes around off the nose of the 88 of Slate, so... Malello, one of our playoff contenders, was also involved. I don't think it was his spin that brought out the caution. I think the caution came out for Devin Henry, but both wrecks might have actually happened at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard him say something which determines to bring out the caution flag.
So the yellow flag is out for the first time here tonight. Came out on lap 16. And undoubtedly, we're going to be having everybody on pit road. Tires are unlimited here this evening. I believe just about everybody has already made their pit stop here. And DJ Cummings is going to come out as the race leader, followed by Nick DeGroot, Kyle McFadden now 3rd, Michael Rossi in 4th, and Joshua Slate in 5th. One driver that was up there towards the top of the board that has actually fallen back quite a bit was Ryan Vargas. I'm looking to see if the 23, maybe he got hit with a speeding penalty or something, because he's now all the way back in 13th place.
It very well might be possible.
And he was up in, I think, 2nd place when that caution came out, so he's going to have some work to do here. Well, folks, we ended up seeing this morning that the new YouTube channel of Monday Night Racing, Ford Martin, one of the admins here for the league, actually interviewed Ron Capps about his idea of just how challenging Darlington is. You know, we're up here telling you how challenging Darlington is. Don't take our word for it. Take it from one of the drivers. Let's take a look at an excerpt from that interview Ford Martin had with playoff contender Ron Capps.
Well, I know a lot of these other guys have been practicing. I haven't. I need to get in practice more, but I jumped on just a little bit the other night. And trucks at Darlington are almost perfect for iRacing because you can almost hold it wide open with good tires and in one end of the track, and then the other end is hairy. I mean, you got to get after. So you throw a bunch of people together. Tonight's going to be exciting to watch. It's going to be exciting for people to watch, but us in the driver's seat, it's going to be crazy. So there's going to be a lot of strategy, I'm sure, that you're going to have to throw out the window pretty much. But I think it's going to be great racing because the truck just it has just enough power taken off of it from like a cup car to where you can go out there and actually drive it, and just enough to get you in trouble. So another reason this is so much fun with this league, especially, but with iRacing, where you can pick a truck and race it at Darlington, or Indy 500 track like we're going to race in the finale, or Nashville, which they just added not too long ago. And so it's fun to throw something different out there. And so it's almost like Monday Night Football. I mean, for me, it's exciting. We've been racing back NHRA races again, and I've been flying on Monday mornings, and all I'm thinking about is how I'm getting ready for the race that night when I get home and get all prepped and get ready and get my simulator all set up and make sure all my updates are done. And so it's going to be fun.
Back green here at Darlington, and I love we had some contact there for third, but I love the word that Ron Capps uses for 3 and 4, hairy. A hairy situation for these drivers in the final couple of corners.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. It is very much. It's a tightly packed corner. Looks like we're about to go 3 wide back here. I thought better of it. The 20 car, he really dove it in there.
Yeah, both of the behind-the-wall media-sponsored machines were going double wide there, with Steve Affont moving by Joshua Slate. Now Affont looking to move up into the top 5, trying to get around Ford Martin. Of course, Ford Martin was one of 2 drivers that got eliminated from the playoffs last week, himself along with the 66 of Seth Agert, as we've got a problem back there. Chris Wilner. Wow, he hit something a ton. That car went up, or that truck went up into the air. Devin Henry's involved. And I think maybe the car he hit, talking about the 26 of Wilner, might have been the 64 of Drew Welker.
Keeping an eye on it here.
Chris Wilner has had to teleport to pit road. And bear in mind, this is one of those drivers that was able to squeak his way here into the round of 7.
A bunch of cars involved in this one, but Chris Wilner, he was losing a spot to Ryan Vargas, and the 26 car just got too high off of turn 2, hit the wall, and hit right at that opening. Right at the opening of that pit wall on the inside there.
Wow, he did. Shoots back up the track. There's where he collects Devin Henry, and yeah, that's what shot him into the air. He got hit hard by the 64 of Drew Welker, and that car unable to be under power to even drive back to pit road. So Chris Wilner's going to find himself in a little bit of a situation, a little bit behind the 8 ball here, at least to start off early at Darlington. Going to have to call a tow, which means he's more than likely going to lose at least 1, maybe 2 laps, and have to hope for another caution to come out to be able to get those laps back. He will obviously be able to use a fast repair, and now that's kind of an interesting situation. It's unlimited tires. These drivers were out there for about 6 laps before that caution came out. Do we see any of our front runners come to pit road?
I don't think so. That's still a little too early to come back down pit road, even with unlimited tires.
Incredible, too, because we ended up going, about 16 laps on that first run. We're almost a third of the way through this race already. You wouldn't think at Darlington's 1.336 miles in length, you would normally think it type of like a speedway where it'd be a pretty lengthy race, but 75 laps doesn't take long for those laps to tick away at a track like this.
No, not at all. I mean, we're roughly almost about 50 laps. We have about 50 laps to go. So, and that's not even a long time.
Right now, you've got playoff contenders on the front row when we go back green, DJ Cummings and Nick DeGroot. And folks, I wanted to also mention, too, we went back green during the end of that clip there with Ford Martin interviewing Ron Capps. But I want everybody to know that, obviously, we really appreciate the fact that Monday Night Racing has brought us on board here at Flatout Racing Network to be able to bring you these races and everything. And in turn, we'd like to be able to give Monday Night Racing some shout out here. So for those of you that are watching this broadcast on YouTube, we're actually going to be giving you guys the link to Monday Night Racing's YouTube channel. Head on over there, subscribe to them. They've just put their first video out here today with the Ron Capps interview. You can watch the entire interview that Ford Martin had. So really insightful there into Ron Capps as well. It's incredible, one of the things that he said, where he goes out there. We know him obviously as an NHRA drag racer, but as soon as he's done on Mondays doing his drag racing responsibilities, the next thing he thinks of is getting home, getting in the sim, and finding out what kind of track and what kind of car he's going to be racing here in the Monday Night Racing Series.
Absolutely. Hey, I've seen the interview myself. It's pretty interesting, and he's something he alluded to before in terms of racing on iRacing. That's that when the NASCAR season ends, or when seasons end for any sport really, in terms of racing, you're going to see a lot of influx here on iRacing of drivers just needing to scratch that itch to race, and iRacing's the best place to do it.
And I think the thing that I loved about it as well is he said that he comes on here obviously to be competitive, but he comes on iRacing to have fun as well. It's a great outlet for drivers that obviously in their day-to-day lives go out there and risk their lives and their health in stock cars, and they're able to come on here with knowing that their lives are not in danger and just be able to have some fun on a racing sim. But as we focus here on the playoffs, we mentioned the front row there with your playoff contenders. The rest of your 7 drivers that are battling for the championship line up as follows. Justin Malello will be in 8th. Stephen Ellis will line up in 10th. Ron Capps in 14th. And we saw Chris Wilner get involved in that wreck. He's going to be restarting back in the 20th position right now, 2 laps down. He just got a couple of those laps back here under pacing, but we're getting ready to go back green.
Yep, here we go. Pace cars in. They're coming off of turn number 4.
DJ Cummings, rather, is going to lead them back to green. He's led every lap so far, trying to see if he can dominate here tonight at Darlington. Gets another great restart, and it's going to clear Nick DeGroot, who might be clear for second. Nope, here comes Kyle McFadden to the inside of his left rear quarter panel.
Nope, and now the 89 gets clear, and it's going to turn into single file as they head down the back straightaway.
Side by side is going to be back around the 5th position. Steve Alfont to the inside of Ford Martin. Justin Malello just made a pass on Joshua Slate as Alfont will move into the top 5, dropping the Jack Daniels Chevrolet Silverado back to the 6th position. And keep an eye there on the 23 of Ryan Vargas. We saw him get into Chris Wilner, bringing out that latest caution. Obviously, I believe hit with a speeding penalty under the first caution and trying to fight his way back up to the front of the field. Next driver on his hit list is one of our playoff contenders, Stephen Ellis in the 46.
Keeping an eye on these
and Ellis is into the wall. Ellis got the wall pretty good there. There are some hits you can take at Darlington where the truck will just bounce off and continue on. That was one of the cases where he hit it just right. The wall hugged him in and killed a lot of his momentum. Dropped the 46 from about the 9th position back now to 15th.
Yeah, it's like I said, very difficult. People are gonna hit the wall here. That's just how it is. They're trying to get everything, give 110% they can, and sometimes it's just one wrong move on the racetrack and you'll find yourself in the wall quickly.
Battle on for second. It's now a 3-way battle. Nick DeGroot, Kyle McFadden, and add-in playoff contender Michael Rossi in the 17. Right now, you've got playoff drivers 1, 2, and 4 in the running order. A lot of these drivers might very well be trying to use Darlington as the opportunity to make their way, to point their way into the Final Four, just based on what we're doing next week. Next week, these drivers are going to be at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, and it actually was an audible call. Instead of the originally planned 1987 mod, they're going to be running the Super Street Stocks there instead.
Oh, that's interesting.
Of course, Podium Esports is going to have the call there for both that race and the season finale at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the Indy cars. Was just announced this afternoon. Bob Jenkins is going to be back in the booth to call the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway event next week. So that's going to be really cool. Be sure to tune in for that one.
46 in the wall again, really hard down the back straightaway. Like you said before, just like last time, it hugged them in there for quite a little bit.
I gotta wonder, a lot of the drivers that we're seeing getting up into the wall, is it affecting them in some way for the remainder of the run where they're not being able to keep it off the wall again? Because we saw the 86, as soon as he got into the wall once, we saw him into the wall several times after. Speaking of in the wall, DJ Cummings was into the wall there in turn 3, nearly got it off of 4 as well. Here comes Nick DeGroot for the lead.
Yep, it just takes one mistake. And we talked about, oh, the 10 car got loose, truck got loose as Nick DeGroot will clear for the lead now. Question is, then the 10 car going to try to fight back?
DJ Cummings, I mean, let's bear in mind, both these drivers, they're battling for a spot in the Final Four. A win here tonight locks you in, regardless of what happens next week at Nashville. And all of a sudden, we've got 4 playoff contenders up here in the top 5. Justin Malello there in 4th, Michael Rossi there in 5th. Kyle McFadden's looking around, seeing all these playoff contenders. He just wants to win.
Yeah, he does. And that's all it takes.
Nick DeGroot is going to clear, and he's actually going to open up some distance now between himself and DJ Cummings, who for the first time tonight, since leading the first 20 laps of this race, looks like he is struggling now on the longer run, holding up Kyle McFadden and others behind him. Nick DeGroot, for the moment, enjoying about a half-second lead.
Yeah, when you get into the wall, it throws off your game. You have to try to regroup, get refocused, and get it back, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was enough damage on that 10 machine to slow him down just a little bit.
Now, 7 drivers obviously started out this round. Only 4 can move on to the season finale. And right now, the 4 drivers that would be in trouble of being eliminated if the race were to end now and the round were to end now. Chris Wilner was only able to gain a couple of laps back under that last caution period. He's 2 laps down in 20th. Stephen Ellis, who we saw in the wall, he's back to 17th. And right now, the other driver that would be eliminated out of the playoffs currently is Ron Capps, which is shocking because he's having a decent run right now in the 12th position.
Yeah, after all that fighting he had last time, it's still a little early in the race, Seth, so roughly about 40 laps to go. 10's in the wall again.
Actually, I believe,
Here he
gets
goes.
spun. Gets sent around by Kyle McFadden. Everyone trying to dart around, and he's going to hit the inside wall hard with the left front.
And that was just a product of being in the wall. He just had absolutely nowhere to go.
Well, I think that it was a byproduct as well as a product because Nick DeGroot ahead of him had actually gotten up into the wall. I think the 10 was trying to check up for him. At the same time, he got into the wall and had the 39 to the back of him. So a lot of stacking up went on there in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, that was just absolutely crazy. And
That was
that just shows how narrow this racetrack is as well.
It was a big break for a couple of drivers, including the 46 of Stephen Ellis and also the 26 of Chris Wilner, because now Wilner is going to have the opportunity to be able to get possibly both of the laps down to get himself back on the lead lap, get himself competitive to try and get back above that Final Four cut line as we take a look at the incident again here off of turn 4. And I thought at first that actually DJ Cummings was going to be okay, but then he got back into the throttle. Unfortunately, his truck was pointed the wrong way and some pretty hard licks to that left front quarter panel for the 10 machine. More than likely going to have to use one of his 3 faster pairs because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. These trucks are now coming on the pit road. Justin Malello has moved into the second place, but prior to these pit stops, we'll have to wait and see what it'll look like after pit stops here, as Nick DeGroot will lead the field down pit road.
And we should also mention that back on that last restart, Ryan Vargas was back in the 14th position, had worked his way up to 6th. So that 23 truck, really fast, and we'll have to see if he can work his way back up to where he was before he got the speeding penalty, which was 2nd place at the time. Obviously, for a number of these drivers, every point is important, and I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing some of these guys that haven't led a lap here this evening so far, like maybe the 46 of Stephen Ellis, possibly the 26 of Chris Wilner. I'm surprised that we're not seeing them maybe stay out, lead a lap, and then come to pit road, but apparently some of these guys, they just don't want to give up that track position.
Nick DeGroot first off of pit road. Justin Malello was 2nd.
Joshua Slate comes out 3rd, followed by Ford Martin and Kyle McFadden. Root, I believe, a 5-time winner this season, including 2 wins during the playoffs. He has a Cup win at the Charlotte Roval, an IndyCar win at Auto Club.
I think Ryan Vargas has gotten a speeding penalty.
I think he's gotten another one. You're right. 23 is going to be at the rear of the field again.
Claims he only went 1 mile per hour over, but that's just enough to do it.
And DJ Cummings is back there in the 12th position. I thought that with a faster pair, he would be able to get out there a lot quicker than he did, but looks like he's going to be back there in 12th place. I'm a little surprised about that. I thought that he had actually recovered his truck in around the 7th position. but looks like they had to spend maybe a little bit of extra time on pit road for the 10 machine, and so he's got a lot of work to do. But going back there to Nick DeGroot, yeah, I mentioned that he had a Cup win at Roval, IndyCar win at Auto Club, Street Stock win at Phoenix, of course, the Porsche 911 cars at the Daytona Road Course, and then Street Stocks again at Eldora. A 5-time winner this season, 3 wins during the regular season, 2 wins during the playoffs, and trying to get his 3rd win here in the playoffs, and of course, an automatic ticket into the Final Four at Indianapolis. And I've mentioned before, I've seen Nick DeGroot in race cars before, most commonly in the Indy cars. So if that driver makes it to the Final Four at Indianapolis, watch out for the other 3 that make it into the Final Four as well.
Now that ought to be something to watch too. Indy cars is basically running an Indianapolis 500 as the season finale. That's something you're going to want to tune in for.
Absolutely, and of course that race, as well as next week's race, the Super Street Stocks at Nashville Fairgrounds, both going to be carried on Podium Esports. Be sure to check them out. They have a YouTube channel, they have a Twitch channel as well, and I know for certain I'm going to be tuning in to find out who's going to be winning this championship, as it's been very competitive here ever since the playoffs began. It was competitive leading up to the playoffs as well here in the regular season. We are more than halfway home here, Michael. We've only worked 3 cautions here this evening. When we get to this portion of the race, that's when we start to see the yellow flag wave more and more. That's when the aggressiveness picks up.
Yeah, and especially with Ryan Vargas wanting to come through the field after the penalty on pit road. We're going to go racing with 35 laps to go. That's not a lot of distance to cover, and more importantly, we don't exactly know how far these trucks can go on a fuel run.
Playoff contenders line up this way. DeGroot with the lead. Malello in 2nd. Stephen Ellis back in 10th. Cummings 11th. Ron Capps in 12th. And then you got to go all the way back to Chris Wilner, who's back in the lead lap. He's 19th. And Michael Rossi is now 2 laps down in the 17, back in 20th. Not sure how he lost those laps, but we're back racing with 35 laps to go at Darlington.
See DeGroot with a good run, but here comes Malello with a big head of steam down the back straightaway.
To Malello, maybe thinking that here tonight at Darlington is his best chance of getting into the Final Four at Indianapolis. Drives it deep down there into turn 3. That dotted white line is not out of bounds. It just lets these drivers know really where the apron starts as opposed to the banking of the racetrack. A lot of drivers like to utilize that lane down there.
Yeah, they do, and like I've told you before, you saw DeGroot able to pull back ahead of Malello on the outside lane. The outside lane, especially in 3 and 4, is the best lane to be in.
Back here at 9th place, that's where you find DJ Cummings, who's had one of the 2 fastest trucks really of the evening. Now trying to get his way by Brendan Madonia. That would be for 8th. Just ahead, Jason Keffer in the 33 also, but you see how Madonia is able to get that big run there off of turn 4. Up ahead, Keffer to the inside of a font, maybe 3 wide there with Madonia.
Oh boy, you cannot hit 3 wide at a track like this. It is just way too narrow.
DJ Cummings to the outside there of Madonia. Here comes Ryan Vargas. He's going to try 3 wide into 3. Can he make it work?
Holy moly, I cannot believe that. That was close.
And he's going to back out. Ooh, little contact there from Madonia. Somehow they made it work, but unfortunately for Vargas, that inside line just could not get the power down on exit and loses a couple of spots as a result. Now a little tap from behind by Ron Capps.
So, I believe, I'm not sure who it was that just said that, but someone just said they thought for sure there was going to be a big wreck right there. But wow, what an effort for these drivers. And Vargas is just a man on a mission.
Ryan Vargas right now in the 12th position, trying to come back from not 1, but 2 speeding penalties here tonight. Another driver that's had a nice recovery since 15 laps ago, and that's the 46 of Stephen Ellis. He's now up into the 9th position. We saw him get up into the wall and drop as far back as 19th place.
Oh, the 28 or the 20 machine has lost it.
Yeah, Steve Affont, what a say. Oh, and now he's going to go around, and he's going to hit the inside wall a ton with the front of his number 20 machine.
Oh, and you just had to talk about the 46, didn't you? Because he just hit the wall again hard in turn 4.
Well, he's still in the 9th position. Didn't lose very much in terms of track position here. As up ahead of them, Jason Keffer just got around Brendan Madonia. Going to move him up to 7th. Following in the tire tracks of DJ Cummings. He is a man on a mission trying to recover after his spin from the 2nd position.
Absolutely more. Oh, the 46 car once again just carrying way too much speed into the corners.
A lot of these drivers wanting to run the line they want to run going into these corners, and when they've got someone to their inside, it looks like they're having a bit of trouble giving the room necessary to the truck on the inside, and at the same time keeping it out of the wall. Is now up into the top 10. How about the 18 there? Brent Baldock, he's going to get the wall there. The reporter out of Fox 46 Charlotte.
Oh, look at this, 3 wide again. Malello stuck in the wall. Oh my goodness, I'm just watching Ryan Vargas plow come through the field here, and it's just this is a highlight reel in itself. Look at the 3 wide on the front stretch.
The runs he gets there off the corner.
Oh God.
Oh, he's going to get up into Keffer. Keffer is going to save it. Oh, he pounds the wall hard there, though, out of turn 2. Keeps it straight. We're still green.
Oh, and I could tell you one thing. He just displayed his displeasure right there over the driver's chat.
One thing that we've had a change for the lead as well. Nick DeGroot has lost the lead to Joshua Slate. Kyle McFadden now moved to second. But one thing that Ron Capps mentioned in his interview was the fact that, you've got drivers out here battling for the playoffs, but there are other drivers, they just want to win. And so the aggressiveness picks up. Looks like somebody is trying to help Steve Offant in the 20 machine back to pit road. That's actually Seth Eggert in the 66, who got eliminated from the playoffs last week, trying to help that wounded 20 truck back to pit road so he doesn't have to call a tow.
That's good. What do you call that? Good Samaritan help right there?
Absolutely.
Here comes Ryan Vargas underneath Ron Capps in turns 1 and 2.
That's a battle for the 10th position right now. Devin Henry, who we saw in the wall multiple times at the beginning stages of this race, he's now in the 12th position. And right now, it looks like the drivers that are in position to move on to the final 4 should this race end right now, is Ron Capps continuing to try and get to the inside of Ryan Vargas to take that 10th position back. But right now, it'd be Nick DeGroot, DJ Cummings, Justin Malello, and Stephen Ellis, all 4 currently inside of the top 10.
Comes the 21 car off of pit road, it looks like.
And Michael Rossi right now is still trapped 2 laps down in that 17 machine. I'd love to know what it was that happened to him, because I didn't see him get caught up in the latest caution. Not sure where he lost those 2 laps at or what incident he was involved in. I can see there is some damage there to the right front of his 17, but I don't know if that was from possibly on this run or if that is from an earlier incident. And this is not good here for Rossi and his chances of making it into the final 4, as we had an exchange just a moment ago for 4th place. DJ Cummings continuing on the comeback trail. Just moved another spot up in the top 5 from 5th to 4th, getting around Ford Martin, and he is turning some of the fastest laps of the race right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's keeping his nose out of trouble, and he's just out there running pretty good and pretty smooth.
Right now, you've got about 1.2 seconds separating the top 3. Cummings running by himself, but over 4 seconds back as McFadden, I believe, got up into the wall there, trying to get around the 20 of Steve Offant, who has returned back to the track with a faster pair, but right now, 4 laps down.
The 18 machine just hit the wall off of turn 2 and allowed Ryan Vargas to pick up the spot.
Vargas is now up to 8th position, another driver on the comeback trail. Restarted back around the 14th position. We got a car around there on the 33. Apron of 3 and 4. Is that the 33 car?
Yep, it is the 33, Jason Keffer.
And not sure if there was contact there, if he may have just gone around on his own, but no caution yet.
He went around on his own coming off of pit road trying to get back out onto the racetrack. The truck just snapped around randomly.
This is an interesting scenario. We're going to have 20 laps to go, and yes, we could have a caution come out and kind of mess up the strategy, but take a look at who we've got here behind the 80 of Joshua Slate. That's the 20 of Steve Offant. Both of these drivers sponsored here this evening by the race sponsor, Behind the Wall Media. 20 truck might be able to play a little bit of defense here for the 88 and keep the 39 and 89 at bay, but looks like he's got the fresh tires, so he's actually going to have to go around Joshua Slate.
Absolutely.
Get one of his 4 laps back, so now he'll be -3. Wilner, who we saw have to use a faster pair after he took a hard shot into the outside wall. I think it was back on the second caution. Well, he was past Ron Capps for 11th, gets up into the wall, and now Capps moves by into the 11th spot again. Wilner drops back to 12th.
DJ Cummings in 4th place just hit the wall off of turn 4 there. It's going to lose a lot of momentum for him.
I believe this is the longest run these drivers have been on here tonight. Prior to this, they had been out there for 16 laps under green flag conditions, and Joshua Slate and others about to come out around and complete their 19th lap under caution. So this is the, under green, I should say. So this is the longest green flag run these drivers have been on. They haven't gotten an idea of what these tires will do this long into a run.
Absolutely. And just like us, we're completely in the blind too. We don't even know if they can make it the rest of this way on fuel.
Vargas gets by Justin Malello, who's starting to fall back. And this is getting interesting here, just based off the playoff picture, because you've got DeGroot, DJ Cummings, and Justin Malello. Right now, they are 3rd, 4th, and 8th. But then you go back here, you've got Steven Ellis, he's in 10th, Wilner in 11th, Ron Capps in 12th. Those 3 drivers are battling potentially for that 10th position, but also for the 4th spot in the playoffs heading into Nashville next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a big battle. It's going to be real tight-knit, because all 7 of these drivers want to advance to that final 4, but there's only room for 4. So 3 drivers are not going to make it, and it's going to be crazy, absolutely freaking crazy to get into those final 4 spots.
Nick DeGroot just got up into the wall there off of turn 2. Here comes DJ Cummings looking for 2nd place, has had a truck up in the wall ahead of him. I think that's the 21 of Jerry Jordan, who I believe is going to pull out of the way here when these guys get to him. And speaking of pulling out of the way, I don't know if DJ Cummings just made a power move or if Nick DeGroot said, "You're faster, go ahead."
Yeah, keeping an eye on it here. Kyle McFadden back there. DJ Cummings still, hitting the wall really hasn't hindered that 10 truck most. 66 car letting the rest of these cars go by, and it's just Joshua Slate's just enjoying a lead. A pretty big one too.
He's enjoying a lead, but right now DJ Cummings is running just a little bit faster than the 88 truck. Got 15 laps to try and cut down a little under 2.5 seconds. And this is putting me so much in mind of last week's race at Texas, where we saw Ryan Vargas go to victory lane, a non-playoff contender. So it came down to points as to who was going to advance into the round of 7 and who wasn't. If Joshua Slate wins here tonight, he's taking away an automatic golden ticket for one of our 7 playoff contenders to advance to the season finale, really leaving it down to points next week at Nashville.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at this and now, it's really going to be close, as we're keeping an eye on Ryan Vargas working his way up through the field. He's now up to the 6th position and closing in big time on the 07. Here he comes now to bat for 5th place.
I don't know how Ryan Vargas is getting these runs off the corner. That truck has had tremendous straightaway speed. That's where he's made up a lot of his positions, and now up into the top 5 after battling back from a speeding penalty. Kyle McFadden for 4th place, just up ahead of him as well.
I think he's getting these positions based on the other cars in front of him hitting the wall.
Very well be. He's been able to keep his truck relatively low enough to not hit that outside wall at all. And now looks to the inside maybe of Kyle McFadden. Not yet. Might be waiting to possibly make a move here out of turn 4. And let's go to that speculation you were talking about, Michael, of the possibility these drivers might not be able to make it on fuel. Darlington is one of the toughest pit roads to get onto.
Oh yeah, we've seen the likes of Denny Hamlin and others miss the entrance to pit road. You've got to brake early and get your car pretty much down to the very inside a wall in order to make. Oh, there's a possible wreck in the back here.
Kyle McFadden, the 39, had a problem there off of turn 2. He's down to the inside wall, and caution will wave. He got into him by himself going down to the inside wall, and a late race caution comes out, closing in on 10 laps to go. And as they say, this changes up everything.
Absolutely. That's going to be fresh tires, possible quick repairs. It's going to be pretty much a lot of good things. And it's going to make this finish interesting. The final 10 laps of this race.
Not only that, but it also brings everybody to the back door of Joshua Slate, who I think was hoping this thing would go green to the end.
People have got to be careful not to speed, including Ryan Vargas and the 10 machine.
Here's a look at what happened. Ryan Vargas actually just made his way around Kyle McFadden, and yeah, I think with the tires so worn, some of these drivers not used to being up on that outside line with someone to the inside of them. Was trying to give room to the 07 of Ford Martin, gets into the wall, truck shoots down to the inside. nearly had it saved, but did make some contact there as well with the left side of his truck. And we have to remember, too, we're going to be going back green with less than 10 laps to go, but there are also 3 green-white checkered overtime restarts that we could have here as well.
Absolutely. So, Seth, here's my question to you. Who are you keeping your eye on this restart?
I really think you've got to look in the direction of the 10 of DJ Cummings and the 89 of Nick DeGroot. I know that Joshua Slate has led the last 20 laps or so. There's no playoff spot on the line for him. There's no championship on the line for him. Yes, I think he's going to be aggressive. Yes, I think he's going to try and go for the W, but there's more to lose for Cummings and Nick DeGroot. I think that those two who have shown some really good pace here tonight, those are the two you have to keep an eye on because there's so much more on the line for those drivers.
Well, interesting is this. Vargas third off pit road. The 10 beat the 88 out of pit road too. So if nobody else stayed out, then the 10 car could cycle around as the leader.
Definitely could. You know, it's actually really interesting too. If you look at the 2 drivers that we have up here in the top 4 that are non-playoff contenders, Joshua Slate in the 88, Ryan Vargas in the 23. What do those 2 drivers have in common? They've taken wins here during the playoffs, taking away automatic tickets from playoff drivers to advance to the next round. Slate winning the playoff opener at the Daytona Superspeedway, and of course Ryan Vargas winning last week at Texas Motor Speedway. They'd like to be able to strike again and pick up their respective second wins of the season and leave it down to points for these drivers in the penultimate race next week at Nashville. Is coming to a slow stop here, I think, to let some of these wave around trucks go by. Actually, I'm not sure what's going on here.
Something's happened to the 10 machine.
DeGroot all of a sudden has come to a stop, literally to a crawl.
The 10 car is the leader, but something has happened to that number 10 machine.
And he's going to get a push here by Michael Rossi. I don't know if the engine just went south on that 10 machine or not, but if that's the case, that was a driver that just came off pit road as the race leader.
I think it might be a I don't think it's the engine. I think it might be something to do with his rig or setup.
Rossi trying to help push DJ Cummings at least back to pit road, and boy, what a tough break there, as this is now going to turn the race lead over to Joshua Slate. Looks like DeGroot will line up in second, Vargas third, Malello fourth, Ford Martin in fifth. Then it's Baldeck, Madonia, McFadden, Ellis, and Henry going to be your top 10 as we will get back green. But wow, this is going to put DJ Cummings in such a difficult position points-wise now in his attempt to advance to the Final Four next week at Nashville. A driver who looked like he was very well going to be above the cut line when we got to next week's race.
Yeah, and now the 10 car is going to have to try a lot harder to win a race. I'm still not too sure what happened with him. And he had the truck to beat today.
He's gotten the truck refired again. So whatever the issue was, he is going to come back up here. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be able to get his spot back up at the front of the field, which means he'll be restarting all the way back in the 16th position. Actually, hold on. He might actually get his spot back as the lights are back on the pace truck. And yes, they are going to give the 10 machine the race lead back here for this restart.
Yep.
I think that's the right call.
They could just exactly, and then they could just clear his black flags, and it'll be him. It'll be him with the leader.
A lot of times, those mechanical things you just can't prepare for, and the fact he was able to get his truck back going again, I think this is definitely the right call. He's had a truck that has obviously been capable of being out in front here tonight, led the first half of this race, and he'll be leading them back to green here with what is going to be 6 laps to go here at Darlington, but may not be the only 6 laps we run, depending on if we get some of those overtime green-white checkers. And that extra lap actually helps some other drivers there too. You see that Jason Keffer, Jerry Jordan, they're able to go back around, get some laps back also. Michael Rossi was able to get himself to -1. So that extra lap of caution helping some of these drivers to be able to get themselves back onto the lead lap.
Absolutely. Not only that, but it's shortened. It's shortened the race distance too. So we're going to get green with 6 laps to go. I believe I heard the 10 car say something shut off on him, like a wire or something finally went loose or got loose. So something mechanical in that 10 machine.
Well, he's had an up and down day, led early, ended up getting involved in a wreck from second place. That mechanical problem, but out in front, back underway with 6 to go here at Darlington. Ryan Vargas now going to try and take second place away from Joshua Slate. Here comes Nick DeGroot now to the inside of the 88 for third.
Good to see if Ryan Vargas can run down that number 10 machine in these final 5.5 laps.
Obviously, Ryan Vargas has been fast here tonight. He wants to just go to victory lane. At the same time, guys around him are trying to advance their way into the Final Four in the playoffs. So how clean will he race them? As DeGroot into the wall, gets into Slate. Slate hard into the inside wall in the front straightaway. Caution will wave.
That was just a bunch of stack up right there.
89 into the wall. 88 was into the back of him. I'm not sure who it was on the outside. It might have been the 49 of Madonia. Yeah, you're right. Just a lot of congestion there off of turn 4. And Joshua Slate hard in the inside wall. And I don't know if we're going to get back green with maybe a one-lap shootout, or if with the timing of this caution, we may be heading into our first overtime caution here for a green-white checkered.
I don't think so. We have 5 laps to go this time as they hit the line, so we actually might, depending on how the length of the caution laps here.
Take a look and see what happened here to Joshua Slate, and you just see, yeah, I don't even think there was a shot from behind by Justin Malello. I think it was like maybe some bumper grab there when the 89 was into the wall. He then came down, hooks the 88 of Joshua Slate, and that is a hard shot into the inside wall. And the tough break there for Joshua Slate and for a lot of these drivers is Darlington is so unforgiving in the shots that you take that a lot of these drivers just don't have the engine power to be able to get back to pit road under their own power. They're having to take a tow, which loses you a number of laps on pit road.
Absolutely.
Now, obviously, Slate is not a playoff contender, so that's not going to change a whole lot in terms of drivers that could be advancing and drivers that wouldn't. However, this does actually pay huge dividends for one Michael Rossi, who is now going to be able to take another wave around, and he will be back on the lead lap in the 19th position. So right now, all 7 drivers that came into this race as playoff contenders, all will be back on the lead lap for however many laps we're going to have left to go here at Darlington.
Well, we don't have the 1-to-go signal now, so this is going to be our first attempt at a green-white checkered.
And of course, let's remember, if we have to use all 3, when we get to that third green-white checkered attempt, they will race it to the checkered flag no matter what. No caution will wave. For these first 2 attempts at a green-white checkered, if we get to a second one, it will be they have to reach the white flag before a caution comes out. If the white flag comes out, they race back to the checkered flag. First car, or truck in this case, to cross the line is declared the race winner. And it's going to be DJ Cummings with Ryan Vargas on the front row now. Justin Malello and Nick DeGroot will line up in row 2. That's 3 of your 7 playoff contenders right there in the first 2 rows. Brendan Madonia and Ford Martin, 5th and 6th, followed by Kyle McFadden, Brett Baldeck in row 4. Stephen Ellis, another of your playoff contenders, right now in 9th, currently would be the cutoff line driver heading into next week at Nashville, as Devin Henry will line up in 10th. And the rest of your playoff drivers, it's Ron Capps in 12th, Chris Wilner in 13th, Michael Rossi right now in the 18th position. Those 3 currently sit in elimination spots with where they're currently running on track.
Absolutely. Reading and listening to the drivers' chat here, they're definitely prepared for this restart, and it's going to be a decent one. Ford Martin kind of going through a bit of a driver's briefing here before the restart here in terms of the green-white checkers. But also, one thing interesting, too, is Ryan Vargas says he needs some chicken nuggets.
Ryan Vargas, we saw him take his checkered flag last week at Texas in the Goldfish Mobile. And I believe that there was someone that did message him about painting him a Nuggets mobile at some point. Obviously not running it here tonight, but Ryan Vargas, if he can get to that checkered flag quickly, he can be able to go and get himself some Nuggets and be able to satisfy his craving. But as we're waiting here for the 1 degree signal, just want to again give a huge thanks to Ford Martin here in Monday Night Racing for allowing Flatout Racing Network to be able to cover a bunch of their season, the end of their regular season, as well as a good chunk of their playoffs. Of course, Podium Esports going to have the call next week at Nashville and at the season finale at Indianapolis, but want to shout out some of the sponsors of the league as well. BST Shocks, Big Green Egg, TSJ Sports. Follow Eric Bedoin, Sunday Circle Farm, Behind the Wall Media, who of course is sponsoring tonight's event. Carlisle Tools with Napa Auto Parts, and as well as Petrol Head Apparel, who have sponsored the last two events and of course are also presenting tonight's race as well. Tremendous thanks to all those sponsors making this a thing, and it's been an unbelievable season. Can't wait to see how it finishes, and we're getting ready to see how it's going to finish here with Flatout Racing Network's coverage here tonight at Darlington Raceway. Michael, it's looking like we actually are going to be going back green this time. First attempt at a green-white checkered. Do we use just this one, or do we have some more overtime green-white checkers on the horizon?
I am not sure. I could not call that one. I want to say that we'll probably see more, but these guys are going to be racing and racing hard. It's the final 2 laps, especially these drivers on the front row.
Cummings, Malello, and DeGroot. A spot in the Final 4 at Indianapolis is on the line for Ryan Vargas. Back-to-back wins and Monday Night Racing is on the line. Green flag's going to come out. First attempt at green-white checkered. I'm not sure if that 23 might have lane changed. Looks like he came back up. He might be okay. We'll have to wait and see.
It's a very tough call because the 10 car might have done the same thing.
Vargas all over the back bumper of DJ Cummings. So far, clean. Oh, no, caution. Caution is out. Steve Offont in the 20 has had a problem out of turn 2. We did not make it back to the start-finish line.
Oh, a bunch of drivers. The 21, the 26.
It's Chris Wilner again. Second incident he's been in this evening. One of our playoff contenders. You mentioned about the 21 lap machine of Jerry Jordan. We just saw the 66 of Seth Eggert, another lap machine. And the 20 of Steve Offont. At least 4 trucks caught up in this 6th caution of the night.
It indeed started with the 20 machine getting loose, it looked like, going into turn 1.
Trying to pull a Ryan Vargas 3 wide down the front straightaway, and oh, wow, yeah. Got to the inside of Chris Wilner, and the truck just snapped around. Oh, Noah Lewis, another driver. The 98 got collected up that we didn't know about. So 5 trucks collected up in that wreck.
Brett Baldick says, my heart can't take these green-white checkered finishes.
Brett running in the 7th position has kept his number 18 relatively clean all night long, although I'm pretty certain that every driver here tonight is leaving Darlington with the souvenir, the patented Darlington stripe. There's been very few trucks that have not gotten up into that outside wall in some way, shape, or form. So we rack them up. We do it again. Second attempt at a green-white checkered, and this is actually not good for Chris Wilner in the fact that he was already in an elimination spot, one of the bottom 3, and looks like he's going to be restarting back around the 17th position behind drivers like Ron Capps and Stephen Ellis.
Keeping an eye
Joshua
here.
Slate.
This is going to be pretty interesting. I cannot wait for this race to finish up. Like, I want to see who's going to pull off the miracle here. Because I think Justin Malello might be sitting in the catbird seat.
I don't think you can really count out anybody back there, maybe as far back as 7th, 8th place, just based on the fact, remember that stack up that we had with Nick DeGroot, DJ Cummings, and Kyle McFadden, which ended up sending the 10 truck around. If we have everybody trying to run that outside line through a corner and someone gets up into the wall, whoever makes that dart to the inside line could end up passing as many as 6-7 trucks in the final 2 corners and taking this checkered flag.
Oh, yeah.
As things stand right now, it looks like the 4 drivers that we mentioned before still sit in the 4 playoff spots. However, take a look at what row 5 is going to have here when we go back green. Stephen Ellis right now 4th of the playoff contenders, and Ron Capps lines up right behind him. He'll be to the outside of him in 10th position. So this is technically, when we go back green, going to be the battle for the cutoff line. Who's going to be just above it? Who's going to be just below it between the 46 and the 21?
Yeah, it's like I said, points are everything, and it's going to show here today.
You know what the interesting thing is? I talk to so many drivers sometimes when we're, covering playoff racing, and when I talk to them post-race interviews, they say the last thing that's in their mind is points. They just want to go out there and win. They want to get the best finish possible. Then afterwards, they take a look and see where they are in the point stands. And even into elimination races, they don't necessarily keep track of where they need to finish. They just go out there, do their job, get the best possible finish, and then see if it was good enough.
Absolutely.
Which makes sense, because you've got so much you have to think about as a driver. The last thing you want to do is dedicate some of your brain space to figuring out, how many points you're ahead or behind, how many points you have to gain, how many positions you have to gain. That's just not in a racer's mentality when he's out there behind the wheel.
Brain space.
Let the spotter, let the crew chief do that work. Your job's to go out there and try and get that truck in victory lane. And right now, DJ Cummings maybe 2 laps away from doing that. This is only our second attempt at a green-white checkered. It will be Cummings on the bottom, Vargas on the top side, followed by Malello, DeGroot, Madonia, and Martin. That's the first 3 rows. Right now, 3 of your playoff contenders up in the top 4. If one of them wins tonight, they go into Nashville next week already knowing they will be battling for the championship at Indianapolis in 2 weeks.
Yep. So this is going to be interesting. I can't wait. I've got goosebumps already.
Will we need that third and final overtime caution, or will this be final green-white checkered of the night? Pace truck makes the left-hand turn to pit road, maybe for the final time, as DJ Cummings has been good on these restarts all night long. Gets a great launch. Vargas right there with him. They're side-by-side for third place. Malello trying to edge ahead of Nick DeGroot.
And he might just be able to going through the corner here. It looks like he will. Malello, can he hang on for third? He's going to be in the catbird seat.
Here's Vargas. He's been good with the straightaway speed. Ran wide there out of 2. Gets the run down the back straightaway to the inside for the lead on DJ Cummings. Vargas to the point.
Battle for third place. They're going to get to the white flag.
Yes, they are. This is going to end it here. Next time around is the checkered. Oh, look at Malello pushing DJ Cummings through 1 and 2. This is the battle for the highest playoff driver as Ryan Vargas starts to pull away.
He's going to try to block the 49. 49's going to have a bad entry into the corner here.
Madonia for third on Justin Malello. DJ Cummings trying to hold on to second. They're closing in on Vargas, but Vargas too far ahead. Ryan Vargas, back-to-back wins here tonight in the Monday Night Racing Series. DJ Cummings will cross highest playoff contender in the second position, followed by Madonia, DeGroot, and Malello. Those 3, Malello, Cummings, and DeGroot, are going to find themselves in a pretty good situation heading into Nashville next week, but nobody automatically advances to Indianapolis here this evening with Vargas taking the win at Darlington.
That was incredible.
Ryan Vargas is heading to victory lane. Now he can celebrate with his nuggets.
Yeah, he can definitely do that now. Justin Malello gave it everything he could. He tried to keep his foot in it off the corner, but just ended up hitting the wall hard, and he lost, I think, 2 spots because of it.
I was battling at the time for second place with DJ Cummings, but as you mentioned, got the wall, lost momentum, drops back a few spots to finish in 5th place. But you want to talk about a comeback finish? Chris Wilner was involved in 2 wrecks here tonight. He's going to be the 4th highest finishing driver of the playoff contenders, battling back for 8th.
I just noticed Ryan Vargas's truck scheme. It's an in and out style, but it said, instead of saying in and out, it says Ryan Vargas.
Beautiful.
I just noticed that.
As Vargas gets to burn it down.
You've got to ask him about that in this interview.
Well, Vargas gets to burn it down there in that custom scheme. Second time in 2 weeks after winning last week at Texas with the Radical cars. And this week with the trucks at Darlington Raceway. The track too tough to tame. And let's not forget, Ryan Vargas had to work his way back up to the front from 2 speeding penalties here this evening. Talk about an up and down race. If you took a look at the grid of where he was all race, probably looked like somebody's pulse, probably ours on that final green-white checkered.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at him. He's going to push the 98 car.
Noah Lewis, I do not think, was able to make it back around to take the checkered flag. I think there was a wreck there on the final lap involving Kyle McFadden. I think Stephen Ellis was involved, Devin Henry, as well as the 98 of Noah Lewis, who is going to be able to finish this race. It will be in, I believe...
Ryan, 98 slamming on the brakes. He's like, no, I don't want to. Yeah, they're just having fun out there now.
We'll take a look at the finishing results here in just a moment. We're actually going to go back, look at a replay of what happened there on that final lap, because it did involve at least one, maybe two of our playoff contenders. Ron Capps in the 21 might have also gotten a piece of this one. And I think this happened off of turn 2 on the final lap, coming to the checkered flag. And I think it might possibly actually start with the 21 of Ron Capps. We'll take a look here.
Very possible.
Got stacked up. Oh, yeah, looks like Baldeck and the 18 guy.
I believe we're having a little bit of technical issues on Sethko. So absolutely keeping an eye on everything here. It's pretty interesting to say the least. That was a heck of a run here. Gonna keep up on everything that we can here with the finishing results as it comes through here. Gonna take a brief moment here. Get to some interesting.
There we go. I think I'm back.
There we go. There you are, Seth.
Discord, apologize with that. You got to see what brought out that, well, didn't bring out the caution, but that wreck there on the final lap, and it did involve some of our playoff drivers in Stephen Ellis and Ron Capps. Michael Massey was involved in it, as well as McFadden, Devin Henry, Noah Lewis, Seth Eggert, and a couple of other drivers getting some bits and pieces of it, as we're going to take a look here now at our full finishing results from this race. And another driver that also had a great comeback run, Michael Rossi in the 17. Now, he will be the first driver below the cut line, but I think by 1 point behind Chris Wilner. But he was also multiple laps down, closing in on about, 15 laps to go, was able to battle back for a top 10 run.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was, like I said, it was incredible. You know, just the amount of speed and, you know, coming through the field most of these drivers had. It's all about momentum. You could carry momentum off the corner. I've raced enough Darlington races to know that backing up your corners and getting the speed off is exactly what you want to do to get the momentum down the straightaways.
Keffer was able to battle back, Jason Keffer, for a top 10 run after we saw him make some early contact with Ryan Vargas. Joshua Slate, we saw him take a hard lick into the inside wall there off of turn 4. After the fast repair and getting back in the lead lap, he was able to bring it home in the 11th position. But then you look down here, Ron Capps finishing in 14th, Stephen Ellis finishing in 16th. Both those drivers have some work to do when we get to Nashville next week, as there is the rest of your finishing results from this race. And it's time to now find out what our top 3 thought of this race. We had some pretty good long green flag runs, but pretty chaotic there at the end. And let's kick things off with our third place finisher, Brendan Madonia. Brendan, it's Michael and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Oh, man, a crazy race here tonight at Darlington. A little bit of everything. Some long green flag runs, some short spurts, quite a number of cautions as well. But typical of Darlington Raceway, and we definitely saw that Darlington lived up to its name. The track too tough to tame. A lot of drivers having difficulty with keeping off that wall and getting the patented Darlington stripe. How difficult was the track to maneuver here tonight from your standpoint?
It was pretty tough. I mean, I started towards the back. I think I was in 20th, 21st. So I had to make my way through the field. It was really tough to pass because, you know, you either were aggressive going into the corners and risk hitting somebody and causing a wreck, or were you patient and just let everybody else make the mistakes. And that's kind of where I laid. I just kind of let everyone else, overdrive the corner, hit the wall, and it paid off for me on the last lap there. I mean, Malillo and it looked like the Groot hit the wall coming off of 4, and I was able to slip past them and get the third place finish. So it was tough out there.
A lot of drivers really have difficulty off of turn 2 as well. Was that just a case of getting back to the throttle too soon, do you think? Or was there some element to turn 2 that made it difficult for drivers to maneuver it this evening?
There's a slight bump coming off of 2, and you have to kind of hit it right or else you're going to hit the wall. And I think with some guys, they either cut the corner too tight and slid up and hit the wall, or came too close to the apron and clipped the apron and lost it. The trick is you kind of have to arc 1 and 2 and let the car kind of drift up and then bring it back down. And I don't think a lot of people really had that figured out tonight.
Brendan, obviously Darlington, under the nighttime conditions, this may have helped this, but it's known for being a tire killer. You guys at one point got about a 20-lap run in. How much changes did you feel in the truck the longer that run went on?
The first 10 laps, it felt okay. You could still drive it pretty hard in the corner and it would stick. I would say probably, uh, 15 to 20 laps into the run, it was just pushing like a dump truck. You couldn't really cut the corners like you could. I mean, I had difficulty. The truck would just slide up right to the wall, and you really didn't have too much front bite on it. But it was tough to figure out, but once you got the hang of it, it wasn't too bad. Still drivable. And really, if you could keep the momentum up in the corners, I think it would have been okay.
Well, Brendan, obviously you were able to survive the chaos there of those final 15 or so laps with those late race restarts. Of course, the 2 overtime green-white checkers. You bring it home third place here tonight. We're going to let you do some shout-outs.
First off to Flatout Racing Network. I mean, you guys are able to broadcast this show we put on for everybody. I hope everyone enjoyed. Appreciate all the work you guys put in, and you guys do such a great job. And just want to say that I appreciate the work that you guys do. To my girlfriend Claudia, she's watching. Hope that she's proud of me. Top 3, I'll take it. And everybody else watching, just gotta thank them. Ford Martin, everyone involved in Monday Night Racing. Thanks for having me on board, and hope to finish the season on strong.
That's Brendan Madonia. He brings it home third place here tonight at the Lady in Black. Best of luck here for the rest of the season. I know you guys have got next week at Nashville, and of course the season finale and the Indy cars at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So have a great rest of the season. Congrats on a great run tonight.
Thanks, guys.
And a driver that was oh so close to locking himself into the finale at Indianapolis, DJ Cummings. Let's get a word with him. Hey, DJ, it's Michael and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, boys, I got you.
Well, man, talk about an up and down night here at Darlington. Out in front for those first 20 laps. Then you end up getting involved in that spin while running second. Fight your way back up there to the front and had to try and hold off Ryan Vargas there at the end. I mean, obviously, it had to be in the back of your mind the opportunity of locking yourself into the Final Four. And how much did that drive you in this race?
It was everything. I knew going into this, I put a lot of time and effort. I wanted this win bad. I wanted to just lock myself straight into Indianapolis and not have to worry about Nashville next week. I knew once I had, after that spin, when Kyle accidentally got into me because I was in the wall there. When I got back to the front, I knew it was going to be all right. And then we had that one yellow. I downshifted one too many times. Tires started spinning out from under me. I got into the wall, which is why my truck was so bent out of shape. So I didn't know how bad I really was until I got back up to full throttle. And at that point, I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good. I'm just fighting for it. And I knew pitting wasn't going to do me anything. That was probably going to hurt me a lot and put me underneath the cutoff line. So I'm like, I need to at least win or salvage a top 5 out of this to at least put myself in a decent position going into Nashville next week. So somehow I was able to hold my own and get a second place finish out of tonight.
Obviously one of the big things that we focused on there under pacing at that one point was we saw that your truck all of a sudden came to a dead stop, and Michael alluded to, he heard over driver chat, it sounded like something had disconnected on your end. Can you elaborate a little bit further on that?
Certainly. So I was in neutral, just coasting, and I must have had the car in neutral for a little bit too long, and it shut off on me. So I have the ignition set up on my keyboard to just the I key. So I went to go keep tapping it, and nothing was happening. So I went and figured out, oh, I guess the keyboard turned off on me because I have a wireless keyboard. So I went and turned it off, turned it back on, pressed the I key. I was able to get it back going again, and huge thanks to my good friend Michael for giving me a push there and getting me back up to the front. but for a second, I was freaking out and thought I was like, oh no, this is it. This is it. Because I didn't have, for a moment, I didn't think I had the ignition button set up, but then I realized, oh, wait a minute, it's still on my keyboard. So I just had to double check my keyboard. And once I got that set up, I was back and going again.
Well, thank goodness you were able to get that thing refired to be able to at least salvage a good finish here tonight at Darlington. Another thing that we saw was you led this race early on, but then after that spin, you had to fight your way back up through the field. How difficult was it, and what was the huge difference between the truck out there in clean air and the truck back in traffic?
Clean air is king. I will tell you that. It's definitely you can use up a little bit more tire and get away with it. The toughest thing, trying to come from the back and work myself all the way back up to second there, was the runs I was getting, trying to set people up for the pass, and I felt like I was doing the best place you can get yourself a run was coming off of turn 4 down the front stretch and giving yourself that inside lane going into turn 1, because most folks, if they're smart, won't want to go too wide, especially on old tires, because your car automatically wants to just slide up to the wall. So getting that inside lane going into turn 1 was definitely key, especially when you're making passes there, trying to get yourself back up to the front.
Well, obviously here, DJ, as you said, you wanted to be able to get this win here tonight to be able to lock yourself into the Final Four. But hey, a second place finish going to put you in a pretty good point standing heading into Nashville next week. A great performance here tonight after having to mount a comeback there. Those technical scares there near the end of this race. Tremendous effort by you here tonight. We're going to let you do some shout outs now.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, a big thank you to my fiance Addie, who allows me to do all this in our place. Obviously, wouldn't be able to do this without all her love and support. And then, obviously, a big thanks to Ford and Paul for all they're doing just to make this league what it has become in the past 4 months. It is just watching it unfold the way it has. It's just amazing how much exposure we're getting and how many people are interested in watching. And I can't thank those two enough. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of this league and race with a great group of guys.
Well, that's DJ Cummings. He looks to advance to the Final Four next week at Nashville. Starts off this round well with a second place run this evening at Darlington. I wish you the best of luck next week, of course, as well in the season finale, the final 2 races of the season. Hopefully you can be there in the championship hunt when we get to Indianapolis in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Appreciate all you did.
And let's finally get a word with our race winner. Back-to-back wins here in back-to-back weeks for Ryan Vargas. Ryan, it's Michael and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, we talked to you last week after a chaotic race at Texas. Here this evening, though, man, you had to work your way from the back to the front twice after 2 speeding penalties, but you had amazing speed on the straightaways to be able to make the runs work going into the corner. How in the world were you able to approach Darlington and get such speed out of it?
Yeah, obviously I've done a bunch of laps here on iRacing with the Xfinity car, and then having just raced here a few weeks ago. So, I, I don't want to sound overconfident, but we had a lot of laps here. So that definitely helped. But then, you look at the overall speed, as you mentioned, down the straightaway, something that wasn't really brought up or talked about, amongst the other drivers is the draft. If you got a tow from someone on a lap, you're gaining 2-3 tenths on a lap. So if I can get in someone's draft through turns 1 and 2, get down the back and set up for a pass, it was game over. So really good stuff. Had to come to him back. I got so over aggressive there at one point. I made such a aggressive move, and I felt so bad. These runs, they wear off so quick once you get side by side. So there came so many points where I just had to stay where I was, and unfortunately I collected. I think it was the 33 car. So hate that, but at the end of the day, we got the win.
Obviously, as we said, you got those tremendous runs off the corner on the straightaway, but was there any point in this race where you really kind of felt the struggles of the truck, especially being back in traffic?
Yeah, I would say after the first time, after the time I got into the 33 when I put it 3 wide, that, like I said, that was an aggressive move by me, and Normally I wouldn't do something like that, but I had such a run. And I got to their door, and once I got there, it just ended. I got stuck where I was, and that was just right when I hit him and he got sideways. I stopped. I just completely stopped on the apron and let a bunch of cars go. I was riding in, I think it was 12th or 13th, just staying where I was because I didn't really feel good taking the spot. But then we caught a lucky caution and was able to get our track position back.
Obviously it's a huge difference between the Radicals that you won in last week and the trucks here tonight. But, last week you ended up having a late race caution where you had to hold off somebody for the win there. Here tonight, it was a two green-white checkers, two overtime green-white checkers. When you're sitting there under pacing, knowing that this could potentially be the last green-white checkered, how difficult is it to be able to kind of put everything else on your mind and be able to have a strategy for those final two laps?
Yeah, it's so tough. I mean, I had I'm looking at it right now. I had Nick DeGroot behind me, which he was really fast all night too. I know me and DJ were kind of the class of the field here tonight, but once he got that damage after his mistake on the pace lap there, and I saw on the first attempt that I gained a lot of ground on him, I just kind of felt like if I just was smooth and didn't overdrive it, didn't put myself in a bad spot, we'd have the win. And once I passed him, it was gone.
Obviously, I have to ask this on a personal note. My broadcast colleague Michael Norman would love to know the story behind the In-N-Out truck you had here tonight, but with your name on the truck.
Yeah, it's a fun scheme. Noah Sweet, a brilliant graphic designer, drew the paint scheme up. It was inspired by basically what I did was I talked with Harris Liu, and he came up with the kind of like the theming, and Noah took it and put it on a truck. I told him, I handed him an In-N-Out cup, and I said, draw this and make it a cool design. So that's the design on the car. It's a fun scheme. I obviously in real life there's no real sponsors, so might as well have fun with it, right?
Absolutely. Well, Ryan Vargas back-to-back wins here this in the past 2 weeks here in Monday Night Racing. Ryan, we're going to turn the microphone over to you. Let's do some shout-outs now.
Yeah, obviously, just everyone who watches these races and you guys are putting it on and for broadcasting it and all those behind the scenes who put this race on. It's cool to see all these guys turn out and do this race. It's a lot of fun, and I know a lot of guys get really into it, so it's been a blast to be a part of. And obviously just everyone, in the real racing too. If you guys, don't follow me, make sure you check out my social media handles. My Instagram RTRV23, Twitter at Ryan Vargas _23, and TikTok. And then also my team, JD Motorsports, in real life, in the Xfinity series. So check them out, check me out, and it's been fun. I enjoy this.
Well, we understood with about 15 laps to go, Ryan Vargas was in the mood for some chicken nuggets. Now you can go and celebrate with some chicken nuggets there, Ryan. Congrats on a great run here tonight at Darlington.
Yeah, I'm getting the microwave primed up right now. Thank you.
And that will draw the final conclusion of our coverage here from Monday Night Racing for the remainder of the season. Ryan Vargas, your winner here tonight at Darlington Raceway in the Behind the Wall Media 200, presented by Petrolhead Apparel. Of course, as mentioned, next week it's going to be the Super Street Stocks. They're going to be at Nashville Speedway. Podium Esports going to have the call there. Bob Jenkins back in the booth to call that one. And Podium Esports will be finishing out the season as well, covering the Championship 4 with the Indy cars at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Michael, a tremendous race here tonight at Darlington Raceway. Did not disappoint from start to finish.
Absolutely. It was very much full of drama and action. Very glad to see it, and it was a really fun race to call.
Going to be interesting to see who's going to be advancing out of the 7 remaining drivers into that Final 4 at Indy, and we'll be finding that out next week at Nashville Speedway. Want to one more time thank Ford Martin for asking us here at Flatout Racing Network to be able to come on here for the end of the regular season and the first few races here leading up to the end of the playoffs, leading up to the championship. It's been an honor to be able to broadcast these races, some tremendous caliber of drivers and tremendous caliber of racing, and such a unique concept with a different car at a different track each and every week. Want to shout out the sponsors here one last time as well. BST Shocks, Big Green Egg, TSJ Sports. Follow Eric Bedoin. Sunday Circle Farm, Behind the Wall Media, of course, for sponsoring tonight's race as well. Carlisle Tools with Napa Auto Parts, and of course, Petrolhead Apparel as well. Tremendous sponsorship for a tremendous series, and it's been an honor to call it here for the last 10 weeks or so. For Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for tuning in this evening as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network. Ryan Vargas is your winner here tonight at Darlington.